My Karametra deck has a simple plan: search the deck for all of its lands and use that to power out a big finish. But as it turns out, one popular card sees this plan and simply says no. Opposition Agent means whenever I search my deck, instead my opponent gets to do the searching and they get the card. It's our deck's worst nightmare. Here's how I beat it. Our game starts off poorly. Two unplayable hands leave us without a route to turn 3 Karametra, but at least we get 1 Dork and spells to cast. Our opponent is on Thrasios Tevesh and keeps 7. We lead with Forest Birds of Paradise and they play a land. We draw a pet card that's looking embarrassing in this hand and play Nissa, so at least we have the lands ready for Karametra. They follow up with an Arcane Signet and pass back. We draw a Llanowar, which I stop to wonder if I should even cast. Casting it after Karametra gets us a land on turn 5 and potentially helps Nissa flip, but I was wary of interaction and decided to play it out. Nissa gets first blood. Our opponent plays a land and passes, which I ought to have been more suspicious of as I send the elves in and our endurance sends Nissa to her grave. But at least we can cast Karametra. Thrasios comes down with a Training Grounds, which makes the ability just 2 mana and it is a big threat. So I need to pause here as I'm editing this because I've got this far in this new editing format I've found and I'm not sure it's good. I've watched the footage back, I think it might just be terrible. So for now I'm going to edit the original Magic Online footage and then if I've made a grave mistake, please let me know in the comments. I draw another land and cast our Angel, which swiftly sees a Pact of Negation, leaving us with no spells in hand, but thanks to fetching Lush Porticlo, we get to see we have an Augur of Autumn on top, ready to take over the game. My opponent pays for Pact, plays a land and attacks, letting us cast our Augur unimpeded. We play a land from it, and sadly another land on top, so we pass back the turn. They Mystical Tutor end step for a Demonic Tutor, and I didn't know what to expect when they cast it, passing the turn. I drew my land and see we have an Invasion of Ikoria for next turn, so have to pass. My opponent then passes back to us with just a land drop. I play the invasion and it's time to find our white main line. 4 mana down, 1 Ikoria trigger, or so I hoped. You've seen the title of this video, you know what they tutored for. Opposition Agent. I read it and sighed. Not only would our Karametra trigger be useless, but Ikoria as well. Thankfully, Ikoria also lets us search our graveyard. Now, I only paid 2 mana so I have no targets, but they don't get to search our deck. But see, every deck needs a backup plan, and playing from the top is ours so we're still alive. We play a Forest from the top and see a Knight of the Reliquary. Another deck search card, but at least we can cast it. Underneath is a Nylea, which we cast as well, then an Aloran which we can't cast. I should have stopped here and drawn Aloran, but I had a thought. I chose to search my deck. See, with Nylea and Birds of Paradise, I could cast any 1 or 2 mana creature I draw, and if they searched my deck, I still get to shuffle. So I let my opponents grab a Plains and the plan was afoot. Sadly nothing castable on top, but Karametra was a creature letting it attack the invasion. It was met with a bounce spell and I ended the turn. My opponent played a Felwar Stone and activated their commander, finding more lands. On top of my deck is an Elvish Chorus, which wasn't a bad draw, but we needed better. I cast Karametra so that Nylea could force a chump block from Endurance, then cast Gwenna, leaving Lotus Cobra on top. And this is where the secret really reveals itself. Opposition Agent doesn't stop Karametra at all. The lands are great, but with an Augur out, the most important part is the shuffle. So I cast the Cobra, showing a Plains on top. I don't want the Plains, so I shuffle and my opponent exiles a land from my deck. Now Inspector is on top, so I cast it, and we see Drago is on top, so we don't need to shuffle. I just cast it, and they mental misstep. Haywire Might is on top next, so no shuffle, just to cast. And I smile at what's next, Ancient Imperiosaur. We have plenty to convoke with, and Gwenna even untaps. On top lies a Craterhoof Behemoth. Casting this next turn would likely let us attack the game, but I chose to shuffle. See, we hadn't played a land yet, so I shuffled to find a Plains on top and kept going. Why win when you can draw cards? Next up is Selvala. Forest on top, so we can shuffle and find a Dustwatch Recruiter, but I decided to use our mana so that Might can exile that Training Grounds and finally pass the turn. Our opponent abrupt decays Gwenna after a Thrasios activation and passes. We draw Recruiter and I almost play Forest, but decided to wait as we might need the land drop later to clear the top of our deck. Recruiter shuffles us into a Vizier, which I decide to draw with Selvala so that we can see our next card, Angel of Serenity. I cast it hoping to remove the agent, but it runs into a delay. Play the land on top of our deck, but there's another, making the Vizier we kept earlier prove valuable to shuffle our deck once more. Chorus is on top, so we use the clue from earlier to draw it and find Sun Titan on top. We cast the Chorus for a mana boost and then go for the Sun Titan, returning Might, and then get a free cast of Memnite from the top of our deck. Forest is on top, but I decided to leave it there as we're out of mana. Well, considering I want to attack for 24, and with that board state, it's enough for my opponent to scoop it up. See, I Thirst for Agent was an insurmountable wall to overcome, but while our main plan is landfall, all that really enables is casting lots of creatures. Each time they searched our deck, they still removed the land from our deck, meaning we were more likely to find more creatures to keep casting on the top of our deck. It turns out, the shuffle is just as important from Karametra as the actual effect itself. I've yet to see another opposition agent since this game, but I know if I do, I'll be ready. If you like the gameplay, please subscribe, as more is coming, and I just need to reach 1,000 for YouTube to start paying me. I also have a deck check on my channel for Karametra. Although the deck in this video is a little different as I tested out some new cards, as well as the fact I played the game on Magic Online where I have access to a different collection. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.